Hey guys, Flaring Pain here, doing another Ixalan draft. Let's look over our pack here. We've got a good common Fire Cannon Blast, we've got a nice uncommon Adonto Vanguard, and we've got a pretty sweet rare and Waker of the Wilds. This thing's really crazy if you just have a ton of mana. It gets to be kind of oppressive. I think we're actually going to take this. I haven't played with this card. I kind of want to mess around with it a little bit. Both the Fire Cannon Blast and the Vanguard would be defensible picks as well. I think taking anything else from this pack might not be a good plan. We're going to go ahead and grab the Waker. The Waker's kind of interesting because it's a Merfolk, but it doesn't really necessarily belong in the Merfolk deck because the Merfolk deck doesn't really want a bunch of extra mana. However, it's not bad in the Merfolk deck because it gives you something to do with your mana in the late game. Alright, so let's take a look at this pack. So there's not a great red card we could take or a great white card, which would put us in the green X dinosaurs. We could take this little Kumina's Speaker, which is good in the Merfolk deck, in case we end up in Merfolk. We could also just take Vanquish the Weak, but I really hate taking starting off in black-green or blue-white in this format, since they don't share a creature type, they don't share synergy. I'm going to abstain from doing that and take this little Speaker guy. I hate so much the idea of like pushing into black-green right at the beginning, so I think we're not going to do that. So we're going to go ahead and take this little kind of lame guy. He's okay. I mean, if you're really all the way there, he's pretty awesome, but I don't like taking him this early in the draft when you have no idea what you're going to do still, really. But here we're rewarded in this pack with a Storm Sculptor, one of the better common Merfolk. I think we're going to take that. This pack has the Knight who's okay, the Skittering guy who's okay, this guy's okay, Sheltering Light seems okay, and Heartless Pillage is not the worst. But I think this is the best card in the pack, so that's nice. We set ourselves up in a nice situation there where we're in a deck that we could take the best card in the pack in that third pick there. Here we've got some red cards that are decent. Well, really just the Arsonist is decent. Those other two red cards are pretty mediocre. Deadeye Tormentor's pretty good, so is Shipwreck Looter. I think we're going to take the Looter in this situation. The Looter's not awful in Merfolk if we end up there, just because you're going to be swinging with your creatures a lot, and so the Looter's not a Merfolk, but he does get the loot off in the deck, and he's still fine. And for example, you start with this guy, you swing in. You start with this guy, you play your island second turn, you swing in, you hit for 2, you throw this guy down. It's not a bad start. And something about the Merfolk deck that's kind of interesting is that River, I forget what it's called, River Fighting or whatever, 1 in a green instant, which is one of the payoff cards for the deck, is not bad if you've just got, one Merfolk and one other kind of creature. It still gets full effect. You just have to have at least one Merfolk. Verdant Rebirth, pretty good card. Not crazy amazing, but pretty good. Op's not a bad card either. I think we're going to go with the Verdant Rebirth here, though. Alright, taking a look across the top here, we've got Lookout's Dispersal, which likes pirates. It's not the worst card ever if you don't have pirates. It's actually reasonable in Merfolk just because counters are good for once you get things in play, but I kind of like New Horizons in here. It combos nicely with the Waker, and putting +1/+1 counters on stuff is one of the things Merfolk like to do. I'm going to grab the New Horizons. Merfolk definitely doesn't appear to be open because we haven't seen any of that common. And the common's really not that strong. I mean, it's a pretty good card, but it's not crazy awesome, and it appears that somebody's taking those. We're gonna take One with the Wind though, because we're already a little committed to this deck now. Crash the Ramparts will be fine in here. We'll take that. Do need to start picking up some more creatures. So our start here looks okay. We've got our Waker, which is a really nice card, and our Storm Sculptor. Both of those are pretty solid cards. And then we've got some mediocre other cards that we've got in here. Alright, so we got a Deep Root Waters back. I really like Perilous Voyage a lot. It's a much better card overall, I think, than Deep Root Waters, but so far we've only got one non-Merfolk in our deck, and I think we want to grab the Deep Root Waters here. So we're in a little bit of dangerous territory here. We've got 5 non-creature spells already. We could really use some more creatures, especially since a few of our non-creature spells are really kind of bad in the absence of creatures. I think we're going to actually take Blinding Fog. We're probably not going to play this, but this is actually a card you could play in the Merfolk deck. It's not good, but it's not nothing. Headwater Sentries is a card I'm going to pull right over to the board. It is a Merfolk, but it's really overcosted at 4 mana for a 2/5, and it really doesn't do what the Merfolk deck wants. It's not an attacking creature. It's kind of weird. If you get a +1/+1 counter on it, I guess it could get a little bit better. Man, I don't really want to play the cancel yet out of the gate either, unless we get a lot more of the early drops. So hopefully Pack 2 will be really kind to us. Perhaps somebody else will abandon their Merfolk since there don't appear to be too much. Doesn't appear to be too many Merfolk running around. Well, we'll take the Sentinel guy. Hopefully we'll never ever have to play this guy the whole format, but you can have that, white player. Alright, let's take a look at this pack here. So we've got the Speaker guy, he's okay again. We've got Tishana's Wayfinder. This card's probably better in the Merfolk deck, and this card's probably better overall in general. Vanquisher's Banner's an okay card. You could take. You could play that. Yeah, that card's fine. Draw cards and get more guys. I think I need to take one of these 2 creatures, though. I'm a little bit on the side of taking this little bitty guy, because I think that it's pretty important for Merfolk to be really fast. So I think I'm going to take him, even though I know the Wayfinder's a better card. Alright, so let's take a look over this pack. I think we're going to take the Shaper Apprentice, which is a flyer as long as we've got Merfolk. We've got some. Chart, of course, is decent. Siren Lookout's a really good card. But right now I'm going to try to focus on kind of turning this into an actual Merfolk deck by taking a bunch of Merfolk over cards that are better than them, which is what you have to do when you play Merfolk, and that's why Merfolk's probably the weakest tribe in this format, I think. Just because when you play a Merfolk deck, you really sacrifice a lot of your utility that you have with the other tribes. The Merfolk are all about attacking, and they're very much about tempo. There's really not anything else they can do. And when you're playing the Merfolk, you have to kind of have critical mass of them. Some of the pirates and the dinosaurs and the vampires work well without critical mass. Some of them don't, but there are several of them that do. And you can play decks where you have a nice mix of the cards. Most of the Merfolk, with the exception of a few, they just don't really work really well unless they're in a really dedicated Merfolk deck. And so yeah, that's bad news for them. This is a pretty lame pack for us. We could take a Prying Blade. Really not super excited about that. Raptor Hatchling's the best card in this pack, but he's not something we're going to be taking here in our colors. We may just take Opt out of here. I think that's what we're probably going to do. We're just going to take Opt. There's a Crash the Ramparts. That's not bad in this deck. Depths of Desire is not bad in here either, but I think I'd rather have the Crash, so we're going to grab the Crash here. Definitely going to need some more creatures if we want this deck to work out. There's a Deep Root Warrior. That's a reasonable card for this deck. Entrancing Melody is a really strong card. It might be worth taking here, actually. It is pretty powerful. I kind of want to get more early drop creatures, though. We have a serious creature shortage going on, so I think we're just going to take the Deep Root Warrior, sad as it is. Siren Lookout and Entrancing Melody, much better cards than Deep Root Warrior. But we need 2-drops, and this is a 2-drop that's both a 2-drop and a Merfolk, which is what we're really looking for at this stage. Alright, there's a nice payoff. Okay, so we got this guy, the Vine Shaper Mystic. He's pretty dang good in the Merfolk deck, and he's pretty bad outside of it. I mean, he's not horrible, he's a 2/4, but he's just like that white guy from Amonkhet. You know, and really, he's worse than that guy, because having a 2/4 that's 2 and a white is, I think, quite a bit better than having a 2/4 that's 2 and a green, so... As long as you're in Merfolk, though, him being able to distribute the 2 counters, and the fact that he doesn't have to put either one on himself if he doesn't want to, is pretty awesome. So we're going to go ahead and grab him out of this pack. Too bad he and that other Deep Root Warrior came at the same time, because we could have used that as well. Yeah, Deep Root Warrior is not a crazy good card for our deck, but it's fine. It's a pretty good card for our deck, and right now we're lacking on 2-drops, so we need to get some more 2-drops in here. These Crash of the Ramparts will be decent as long as we can follow 2-drops up with them. Oh man, there's a Shapers of Nature, a Storm Sculptor, and a Tishana's Wayfinder. We could have used all 3 of those cards, maybe even another Crash, but man, this is a nice pack for us. It's too bad we're only going to get one of these, and I think it's going to have to be the Shapers. This card is bonkers. It's a really, really powerful card. I love Storm Sculptor, but I don't think I can justify taking it over the Shapers, so we're going to take the Shapers there. Oh man, there's a Shaper Apprentice. That looks pretty awesome. Things look like they're coming together a little bit here, so that's pretty nice to see. We could take a 1 with the Wind, but I think we need another creature, so let's keep it up and take another Merfolk here. So, you know, things have just really come together in these last few picks here. Our deck's looking quite a bit better than it looked before. So that's nice. Hopefully we'll be able to get even more Merfolk. It's great that we got that Shapers of Nature. That's really exciting. We don't have a bunch of flyers, so Favorable Wing's a no-go for us. We're definitely not going to play more than 1 Blinding Fog. We're probably not going to even play 1. We'll probably play their Looter, so we'll go ahead and throw that in. Look at that, we're filling up that 2-drop slot nicely there. So are we going to cast either of these 2 cards? No, we're not. Are we going to cast Spell Pierce? Almost certainly not, but it's possible. We might decide to board it in. I'm actually going to go ahead and throw Cancel into this deck now, because I think that where we are right now with the deck, Cancel is actually really playable in it. We're going to take the Spike-tailed Ceratops, even though there's basically no chance we're going to board that in because it's just expensive. We're going to probably play 15 lands in this deck if we keep the curve how it is, or if we get more 2s. We might have to play 16, we'll see. Oh, there we go. We can play him. He's not amazing. He's a lot worse than this guy. Command Speaker, pretty cool card, pretty strong if you are all the way in the deck, and we're pretty much all the way in there, so he's pretty strong then. But the one we took early was a pretty bad pick, really. It's pretty lame to have to take one that early because it can turn out to just be nothing in your deck, just be terrible. So here we've got an option between Wayfinder and One with the Wind, and I guess Opt as well, but I think we're just going to take another Merfolk, especially one that can have a +1/+1 counter on it, possibility of that. That's pretty nice. There's some really powerful cards in here. Glorifier of Dusk is really awesome. Raptor Hatchling's pretty awesome card too. But for us, it's going to be the Wayfinder or the One with the Wind, and I like the Wayfinder here so we can get to even more creatures. We've got no copies of the River Payoff card, the common. Both other times I've drafted this deck, those have gone super late. Like you can get like 4 of them. The first time I drafted the deck online, I went 0-2 with the Merfolk, and during that one I could have had 6 of the Merfolk Pomp Spell. But I think people are prioritizing it too highly now, and you really need the Merfolk before you need the Merfolk Pomp Spell. No question about that. That card's also very weak if you're not in Merfolk, so... Tempest Caller's pretty sweet, and that's what we're going to take here. Shipwreck Looter's awesome, and I like him a lot, but Tempest Caller is a Merfolk, and really tapping all their guys down is pretty gross. I think every one of our creatures in this deck's a Merfolk 3. Well, no, that's not true. We got these 2 Looters, and I'm happy to have them. So that's fine. This guy's a really sweet card. He can make 2/2 Black Menace guys, and I actually already lost a game because they're not 2/1s. Anyways, contract killing's good too. Some good black in there. Fire Cannon Blast is awesome, but we're going to take the New Horizons here. Another way to get a +1/+1 counter on one of our merfolk, and works with the Waker. Alright, in this pack, Jade Guardian's okay. It's not a great card. Some people like it. I'm not a huge fan of it, really. I think I'd rather take the... Oh, that's the draw 2 cards. Well, that one's pretty bad, too. I thought this was the bounce spell. If it was that, if it was the 3-mana bounce spell, I would have taken that instead. I think I will take the Jade Guardian since that's the case. Alright, we got another Stormstomper, and we've got a Herald of Secret Streams. We've got to take the Herald here, I think, because we've got a lot of ways to put +1/+1 counters on. I feel like he can get them on himself. Both of these put him on there. We've got both of these guys that can get +1/+1 counters. This guy can put him on. This can put him on too. This puts +1/+1s on lands and makes them unblockable. This puts a +1/+1 on. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take the Herald of Secret Streams. It's interesting. The Storm Sculptor is really nice by itself. It's good all day, pretty much, as long as you have at least one other creature that you can throw back in your hand. So it's kind of quite a bit better than the Herald in general. But the Herald, man, the Herald's good when you've got ways to turn on that +1/+1 baloney. So let's look at some cards we don't necessarily have to play. Things like Opt and the Rebirth and the Cancel. We do probably want another Crash the Ramparts just because we don't have very much pump yet. We've only got, what, 2 pump spells, I think? Crash the Ramparts is actually a pretty solid spell in this format, I think, if you're in an aggressive deck. +3/+3 is quite a bit. It's going to make it bigger than whatever they were going to block it with usually, and you're still going to get, an incidental 1 or 2 damage through a lot of the time. Plus, you can use it to win the game if you have a big guy that you need to get through. Or if you've got, your unblockable Storm Sculptor or whatever. Chart a Course seems reasonable here. I think we're going to grab that. All our guys already are merfolk. We don't need this thing. And that thing sucks anyways. We'll probably just take another Opt. We could take Siren's Ruse. Well, we'll take that for the sideboard in case we play against a deck full of flyers. So will we run 25 with this? I think this might be a little bit greedy to run 25 here. I think we'd probably have to run 24, make a cut and run 24 cards. I think that probably makes the most sense. I think the cut would probably, it could be Jade Guardian, or it might be one of the New Horizons. It's probably one of the New Horizons, actually. Could be the one with the wind, or the Chart a Course as well. Might be the Chart a Course. Probably never boarding in this Schooner, but we'll take it anyways, just in case. These cards, I don't like either of those cards very much. Definitely not bringing in 2 Spell Pierces. Alright, so the question is, want to cut a New Horizons or a Chart a Course, or One with the Wind, or Jungle Delver? And I actually think since we don't have any copies of the card that pumps the multiple creatures, the Merfolk pump card with the cool looking frog on it, I think Jungle Delver might actually be the cut here. And I think we could run 24 or 16 with this pretty happily. We still got 16 dudes, all but I think 2 of them are merfolk. So I think this is a pretty happy place to be. So I think this is good. It's going to be close to even. If anything, we're going to need a little bit more green. So Magic Online thinks we should go 8 and 8. We do have a ton of blue 2-drops. It's basically our whole 2-drop situation there. It feels like we should have one more green than blue to me. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to go 9 and 7. These guys would be sweet to have these guys on 1. We've got a lot of blue 2-drops, but if we hit to 3 mana, we got 2 ways to fix the mana and be able to make the blue, but we need green mana to do it. So I think that's what we're going to do. And hopefully this deck will perform better than my last Merfolk deck.